This is BBC Radio Humberside.
14 minutes past 2. The Ross Revenge trawler, which played a key role in Grimsby's fishing industry and is host ship to Radio Caroline, could be coming back home. It's the sister ship to the Ross Tiger and brought home record catches of fish, including a world record of 218 tonnes of Icelandic cod in 1976. In the early 1980s, following the decline of the fishing industry, the Ross Revenge became home to the then illegal station, Radio Caroline. Now, does this ring a bell?
Caroline, the sound of the nation. Caroline, the sound of the land. Caroline, the sound of the nation. Caroline!
Well, the team at Radio Caroline want to bring the trawler back to its home port of Grimsby. Peter Moore is the station manager. Peter, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. I wish I had £1 for every time I've heard that jingle.
I bet. Never tires. Just do a little recap of some of the history of this vessel, because it does have an incredible history.
Remarkable. She was built in 1960 in Bremerhaven. She was one of 4 very big trawlers, sort of super trawlers you could call them. And she was intended for Icelandic owners, and she was called Freya. Freya was the Nordic god of peace and good harvests. And the shipyard built her very strong, but the owners said to even make her stronger with thicker plating. But she was needed such a deep draft that it wasn't easy to get her into her home ports in Iceland. So she was sold to Ross Foods, I believe, and came to Grimsby. And from 1963 till about 76, she, as you correctly say, brought home record catches and was the darling and the flagship of Grimsby, and may have continued to be so if it wasn't for the destruction of the British deep-sea fishing industry.
So, where is she now?
She's in a river in Essex. We found her in 1980 sitting in a scrapping port in Cairn Ryan with no work to do. We lost our previous ship, Mi Amigo, and we needed a new boat, and Ross Revenge was the perfect replacement.
So what sort of nick is she in at the moment, then?
Not bad. I mean, she wasn't retired for being worn out or beyond service. She was retired from the fishing industry because there were no fish to catch due to the cod wars and the common market. So we acquired her in quite good order. But of course she did then get converted to be a radio broadcasting ship and stayed at sea from 1983 to 1991. With the best will in the world, you can't really maintain a ship while she's afloat. And there were times when our budget was such that we couldn't do any remedial maintenance. So, I mean, she's suffered a bit, but her massive construction has saved her, and I think she's still well able to be restored.
Anybody who used to listen to pirate radio, maybe seen the film The Boat That Rocked, may have a bit of an idea of life on board. But I mean, you know, these were cramped surroundings, weren't they? What was life on board for the crew, for the on-air team?
It was, well, I mean, there were brief moments of excitement, particularly when the guys were on the radio. There were long periods of time of boredom and isolation because she was out of sight of land. The film The Boat That Rocked made it out to be quite glamorous. If it was that glamorous, I'd still be there. But no, I mean, you had to be a young man believing your immortality and wanting to have a great adventure.
So you'd like to bring her to Grimsby. Tell us why that is.
Well, it was her home, and it would be very fitting to bring her back. You know, I've got to be in my bonnet about the collapse of the British fishing industry, even now. I think they were sold down the river, to be honest, and the fishing, the shipbuilding, the ship repair, chandlery, provisioning, and all the land, industries which relied on the fishing disappeared, virtually overnight. The industry was sacrificed, and it still hurts me to think about that. So I think it'd be very fitting to bring her back to Grimsby, even though she'd be one ship out of what was once a fleet of many hundreds.
How much of a challenge will it be to do that, then, to achieve your dream of bringing her back to Grimsby?
Not to blow our own trumpet, but Radio Caroline is very good at deciding to do things, announcing them, and then doing them. I mean, in 1992, after the shipwreck, all we had left was a completely ruined ship, no money, and no broadcasts anywhere, so we had to start from scratch. We've substantially improved her over 30 years, and now we're broadcasting in a major way, and we've got a bit of money in the bank. I mean, our ship charity is nudging £50,000 now, which seems like a lot of money, but for a ship repair, it's a drop in the ocean. But we're confident we can build that up, and we've been told that the more money we raise by our own efforts, the more favourably we'll be viewed by outside funding agencies such as the Lottery, English Heritage, and maybe some commercial interests that would like to see her back.
So if she does come back to Grimsby, then we'll be able to go on board, have a look at the studios, transmitter room, all of that, see what the crew quarters are like. Is that the plan?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm quite proud of the fact that apart from you can see a tall radio mast and the gallows on the ship, which used to haul the catch in, are not there. But apart from that, she's still a Grimsby trawler. The accommodation is all still there, the bridge, the captain's cabin, the galley, the trawl winch. Obviously, where the fish room is, we've subdivided, and the forward end of it is now our generator station where we produce electricity for our broadcast. Astern of that, where the fish would have been, we have 3 mighty radio transmitters. But aside from that, she's still a Grimsby trawler.
Yeah.
And her number, GY718, is still emblazoned on her side.
And you may well get people who went to sea on her as a Grimsby trawler as well. Yeah, that'll be good.
And any news and photographs of people and stories that people may remember from that time.
Well, if people are listening, if they've got stories like that, if they themselves or they know somebody who did go to sea on her as a trawler, you'd obviously love to hear their stories and get their photographs. And also, I'm just thinking, if people want to find out more about this, how do they get in touch with you, Peter, and how do they find out about your quest to bring her back to Grimsby?
Well, as I say, we've set up a charity. It's called MV Ross Revenge, and then in brackets, Home of Radio Caroline, because that's what she is. And we have a website, which is rossrevenge.com. There's a panel there which explains our main objectives. But if people go there and, first of all, read that, and then click outside of the panel, it's got a wealth of information about the ship, her construction, her career, what we want to do with her, and a history over many years since 1960.
All right, worth checking out. I've been having a look. Let's hope, eventually you can make this come true. It'll be amazing. It'll be great to see her in Grimsby and to go and have a look.
Well,
all right,
we're very determined. I mean, when we were in Dover and we took on responsibility for the ship, it was a major undertaking. Mm. And then when we were in Tilbury Docks many years later, and the dockers said, this is the last voyage she'll ever make, which we said, I don't think so. And when we departed from Tilbury Docks and went down the Thames, that gave me an air of great satisfaction. I'm sure I feel the same when she comes into Grimsby.
You certainly will. I'd love to be there to see it as well. All right, Peter, keep us posted if you would. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. We'll follow with interest. Peter Moore there, station manager at Radio Caroline, and their quest to bring the Ross Revenge back to Grimsby. If you did go to see on the Ross Revenge, you know somebody did, let me know. I'd love to hear from you, and Peter would love to hear from you. Wouldn't it be amazing to see her back in Grimsby, the great big radio mast as well, former home of the pirate station Radio Caroline.
Coming on strong with music.